Parliament is also being sort of rogue in the sense that they are not calling the executive to account, in the sense that, hey, what do you mean that you borrowed these 3 point whatever trillion, on average, $1 trillion per year, and you're collecting our taxes? Why are you going outside the scope of the law to then borrow money without coming back to us, and you're using it in a profligate way? And this is an example. So the National Assembly, in my view, has failed, and it is not calling the executive to account. Probably they were in bed before. I don't know if they're still in bed in silence, and therefore they are not calling the executive to account on that borrowing. Secondly, if they borrow them in the manner that they are borrowing, it means two things for us. One, we are tied to that borrowing in terms of mortgaging our assets and our country. It means that whoever lent us the money will come realize the security, and therefore we are their slaves. I used to wonder, way before when I was in school, how did the African slave trade ever happen? How is it that these Africans were mortgaged, taken, and shipped off the country? It's because of such leadership, because they allowed it to happen. Now, today's slavery has morphed into other forms where people wake up every day, every morning to go eke out a living. And what do they get in the end? These pittance, because the government has sliced off 3/4 of that money. And they tell us, oh, 2/3 of your taxes are going to pay for our loans. And you ask a question, where have these loans gone to in terms of investment and development? And we have a bloated civil service. And every time we hear, oh, we have all these people because they are constitutional, people employed, we cannot fire them and we need to pay them. We need to have a relook at that. And if the Public Finance Management Act says 30% of this money, whether by devolved units or the national government, has to go into development, and then they turn around and say, oh, it's only 8% that went. Parliament doesn't question that. Parliament does not call those people to account. And you find a senator summoning the governor of county so-and-so, and all that they ask him, how did you spend this money, how did it, but they don't call them to account and say that, look, your next apportionment, we will not be able to give you until you assure us that this is what you have in terms of structure for development. Look at Nairobi, for instance. It's falling into pieces. But the question is a trader being taxed? Ask for the service charge, ask for whatever it is? Yes. Are they getting the services in return? No. What is the state of the city? We all know it's in such a dilapidated state, and the governor and his retinue of employees are doing absolutely nothing to fix that. Question is then, when you project that now into the nation, who will bear the burden of paying those taxes? Your child and my child. What sort of a future are we building for posterity, for our own children? We are building a nation of slaves. Ruto should not be allowed to borrow a penny more, a shilling more that will enslave our future. When you wake up to go and fend for your child, for your children, and someone in government tells you, I have to slice your money and do what you may, this is how I will spend that money as I want without accountability to you, and I'm going to slash it and plow it into this luxury. That's wrong. Right. It's abominable.
But Gakuya, yes, whatever Akili says, he could be right. In fact, he's right to a huge extent, that Parliament should to a huge extent be involved in this level of borrowing. So are we saying you as a member of Parliament have allowed the President to be doing these things? 3.5 trillion shillings without anything to show for it.
The law is very clear. And in fact, it's only that you can, there is a window of the 2 to 3 where the government can spend when probably the House is not in session. But when the House is in session, there is a full entitlement by the Constitution that the state should seek mandate from the House. But I can tell you, this borrowing is haphazardly done, even without mentioning any intention to the House. And this is misuse of power. But also number 2, I also need to say, we have committees which are concerned. We have the committee which is, 1, the budget committee, and we have the Finance Committee. Those are two committees that should take what we call oversight and report to the House on the usage of what is entitled to the executive. Today, we make budgets every day to State House. Budgets are totally misused. And let me tell you, those committees should understand there is a lot of misuse, and therefore in the next budget, they should slice the budget so that they can have a linear budget that they can be able to use without misuse. But if you leave the window to executives that you can give them whatever they ask, then at the end of the day, you have given them a route to misuse those funds. But I can tell you, the House in one way is failing because the oversight is not done according to the regulations and the law. And if the oversight is done collectively, and you report the misuse of the money to the floor of the House, then you'll be exposing the executive. But that's not what's happened. Number one, I would like to say, as much as we want to say that we are on the trajectory, we are totally failing. We have a project of the government, which William every day wakes up telling us affordable housing. Today, go to houses that Uhuru started at Pangani. They have sold. Go to houses that are here at Karioko. They have stored. Move all the way to Kabati. The houses that are based on are just along the road. Mm-hmm. They have sold. Why have that project stored for years and they are not moved to completion? Okay. Where the government has imposed levies to tax Kenyans. And that money, we are seeing William asking for other use of that money because that money is idle. Why does not that money be used to complete those projects? Right. Why do we want to have those elements at this particular time?
And all the major projects that the president has taken are being funded separately. SHA, there's a fund for it. Affordable housing, there's a fund for it. So the question is, where has the 3.5 trillion shillings that was borrowed gone to?
Debts are not bad, and I believe in accountability. But we are over-sensationalizing this issue.
Really?
If you look at Japan, Japan is a developed country. Its debt is 235% of the GDP. US is 123% of the GDP. UK is 98% of the GDP. Ours is not even at 70% yet. We're a developing country. Most of these countries develop as a result of debt. What I believe in is transparency in the debt. And Mheshimiwa has just indicated that actually it is the parliament that has failed. Because if there is a budget committee and finance committees that are involved in following up on what we are supposed to have as a debt, why is parliament also coming out to complain? Like the immediate former chairman of the budget committee is the one who is so much outspoken about this debt issue. It's so surprising and contradictory. Doesn't make sense at all. And when you look at the so-called 3 trillion, you forget that we also have debts that were incurred during Uhuru Kenyatta's time that are supposed to be paid. A lot of money, 8 trillion, was borrowed by the Uhuru Kenyatta regime. And whatever we raise as revenue and whatever we get as loans again, is supposed to service the loans that were borrowed by the Uhuru Kenyatta regime. So why are we posing accusations towards this regime as opposed to even looking at the whole?
The question was 3.5 trillion shillings. What do we have to show for that money?
Now it's up to the government to come out and explain to the country that this is what we got, this is what we used, this is what we did. Mm-hmm. For as long as we've not gotten that explanation, we cannot just come and make declarations that it has done nothing or it's nowhere. We need to locate it. Even those ones who are saying the Auditor General is supposed to come out and explain where they are found if there is any impropriety.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Let me say this, Fred, before you...
Very briefly, about 30 seconds only.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
There is no country that has developed because my good friend has mentioned Japan and the UK and all those. They developed because they had their culture. The Russians have developed because they have their Russian language. The French have their French language. They have their vehicles they develop. The Swedes have their language, and they have developed the Volvos and the like. And the Chinese are doing what they have their language. Here we are still colonized. and we're still using the language of the colonizer to do business, to transact, to do everything, and even to borrow. What am I saying? The Chinese give you a loan in the Chinese language. And you have people there in Treasury, you have people in the AG's office who do not understand Mandarin or a word of it, and they go and append their signatures. And down there in the small print, which they never read, it says, we have mortgaged A, B, or C or D of your assets. And then suddenly we have then to cough up all these taxes.
All right. Very interesting headlines this morning. The Standard goes with lavish Addis flights, and they have a very nice description of this plane. Oh, I would want to be in it. 1 million state workers gobble up half of taxes. That's the Daily Nation. Wash, how Juba dirty cash is laundered in Kenya. Another negative headline. People Daily, some analysis from west to east. Ruto's global gamble backfiring, matters diplomacy, as well as what we see there on the front page of Taifa Leo, matters to do with what we've just been discussing here, and I'm struggling to get it. Issues to do with the task forces that the president has formed in the last 3 years. We continue to look at President William Ruto's 3 years in office. He marks his 3rd anniversary as president this Saturday, 13th of September. Thank you so much, James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, Fwamba, FC Fwamba, governance analyst, and Harrison Kinyanjui, advocate of the High Court, our panelists this morning on TV47, helping us understand the headlines, even as we continue to mark the 3rd year anniversary of President William Ruto as president. My name is Fred Indemoli. Let's hope for better headlines tomorrow. Good morning.